Yeah.
Yeah.
No, look, it should not be about playing games or anything. It really should be about,
Well, what you see is what you get.
yeah, actually being honest and open, and say and really think about what you need.
Well, the premise of relationship really should be based on some level of. Well, it's supposed to be fun, isn't it? You're supposed to enjoy each other's company. You're supposed
It
to
needs to
feel.
happen naturally.
Yeah, you're supposed to enjoy each other's company, and you're supposed to feel one in there. You know, people say, oh, they don't, couples don't talk anymore or whatever. But sometimes you could be so close to someone that you don't need words.
Yeah, you know what that really means is, the people call it the same wavelength, but I call it the same mindset. You have to have the same mindset. It's very important. You can have different skills, you can eat different food, even talk a different language, whatever, but at the end of the day, that mindset has to be the same. Okay? That's very important. And once it is, everything else will fall into place, because the mindset also determines your values and your goals.
And do you think that cultural differences in relationships is an easy thing? Or?
Oh yeah, this is a big thing, like, about cultural differences. Like people for all, well, we're a global society now, and people travel more and they meet other people from different cultures and places and so on, and people do fall in love and marry, and that's a great thing. However, it is not a common thing, and it's not a usual thing, and it's not easily done. I mean, even in multicultural societies or multiracial societies, say like Australia, the US, and all that, where you have people, even though they may be born there or whatever, it's still a difference. And I'll tell you why. Like some people go say, oh, I know about the culture. I worked in that country or whatever for so many years or whatever, and I speak the language or understand the language, and I love the food or whatever. But that does not necessarily mean you would do well marrying someone from there. And I'll explain why. Because when you interact in a society, you interact socially, don't you? And it's the social interactions that you're used to, and you get what the social mores is. You can't do this or that. That is a certain culture. You need to take your shoes off before you enter the house, or that sort of thing, or serve someone first. That's all fine and well. But the way you interact, how you interact with people outside the home in the society, is very different from how you interact with the people in the family, don't you? There are things that you don't do outside in society with outsiders that you do with their family, and some things that you do with their family you don't do with outsiders. And the way you interact as well is different. And this is a thing. Even if you might have lived in that country for 20 years, doesn't mean you know how their family interacts in the family. You see? So that is very different.
Yeah.
So some people might get a bit like where something says simple as, you might say please and thank you for everyone else, but you don't do it in the family. And someone from another culture, that's not.
We seem to be more polite to strangers than what we do with those that are.
No, yeah, some people perceive that, saying you expect the same from family as you do others, but others, the mindset, the thinking is that you need to be beyond that anyway, that's superficial. You know that I appreciate it. I don't have to say it. It's the relationship should be beyond those things. So that's the thing. It's not necessarily the more ruder.
So we don't need the Valentine's Day then?
I think that's Valentine's Day is about a couple, not about society. You see. So this is the thing. Even though it doesn't matter about it, but speaking, eating the same food or whatever, it has to be the mindset. And so that's why
we've got to have our existence has to be based on ethics and morals.
Yeah.
We have to see how our moral compass is pointed.
Yeah. But that's why cross-cultural relationships and marriages don't necessarily work. And actually, I'd say it is difficult to work unless this is the unless they've got the same mindset and unless they're the exception from both cultures. You see?
Well,
So
you've got to
for
have common ground. You've
common
got to have
ground, okay.
Common goals. You've got to have common objectives.
Yeah, but say for example, say Eastern and Western cultures. So Eastern cultures are a lot more conservative, than the Western culture.
That's for sure.
Yeah. So how do you marry or meet up? Pair someone from that's from a conservative culture with someone from a liberal culture. You would only
Don't discuss politics.
no, you have to in the middle. So the exception from the conservative culture, one is far more liberal than any of their other compatriots, and someone from the liberal culture that's far more conservative than their fellow countrymen. So then you marry it. And so on those at the edges is where they can meet. So it's typically almost always not the typical or average person from either culture that meets up. It doesn't work because they're too far apart. So when people say, yes, it can work with the exceptions. So,
well, it can work if people are conscious enough, I mean...
No, you have to be yourself. You can't act.
That's what being conscious is. You have to be yourself.
Yeah, you have to be yourself, and that means inherently, if you're from a liberal culture, you are actually at the conservative end of it, the very tip of the conservative end.
That's painful.
Yeah, or you're from an Eastern culture, you're at the very tip of being liberal of all your countrymen, and then that's how you meet. You can meet. So, if it makes sense. It's the exceptions from both, not the averages or not the stereotypical. So two words are too far apart.
It sounds like you do a lot of thinking about this.
Well, it's all in my book. It's all in my book. If you'd like to know more, go and for a free download. Free download. Yes.
My goodness.
Yeah, your complete partner, and you can download it on my website, makemarriagegreatagain.net.
You don't need to listen to the show anymore?
No, you still do.
There's always more.
There's always more.
And there's also
Contemporary.
2TLF, FM, great music.
Of course. But also, because I'll also talk about contemporary issues and things that come up in the news, of course. Relationship related or society and related to men and women. That is relevant. So the book provides the foundation, but the shows give you up to date info and dealing with up to date and contemporary issues because it always changes, as you know.